Hello and welcome to the latest MK Web, MK Dons sports podcast with myself, Dan Palmer, here as usual with Scott Kirk. How's things going?
Good, yeah, not too bad, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. It seems like the last few weeks we've been on again, off again. Is the playoffs on?
Yep.
Is the playoffs off? Got it back to 3 points at the weekend. But since then, obviously, Peterborough, the only team MK Dons can really, realistically, well, the only team that can catch in the playoffs.
I think it is, yeah.
They played their game in hand, which they've won against Gillingham on Tuesday night, 2-0 win. So we're now on the same amount of games, so they're 6 points clear with just 5 games left. I mean, we've written them off so many times before, and they've kind of refused to go away, and they've come back into contention. But 6 points clear now, 5 games to go. It seems like time's against them. Even if they do get back into contention, just games are running out, really, aren't they?
I think you're right. I think that there's just not enough time to do it now. And I think 6 points is probably too far to get. We'll be saying something different if Don's winning and Peterborough lose this weekend. But it's with 6 points, it's a lot to claw back. Let's not forget who Dons are playing as well. They've got some tough games in there. Brentford are going for automatic promotion. You kind of hope Brentford get that automatic promotion spot before Dons play them, because otherwise we're getting into Brentford. First of all, it's Crawley then Port Vale, isn't it? And then if Brentford could get promoted on the day they play Dons, they're not going to sit down and they're going to be going all out for that. And I think Rotherham are going to. To me, I mean, we've talked about this, and I know you think Peterborough are going to be a dangerous proposition in the playoffs, but I think there's such a big gap between 5th and 6th that there is an advantage to finishing 3rd, to me, on paper anyway, at the very least. There should be, I think you might be right, because Leighton Orient might be a good team to play in those playoffs if you do reach them. They're on a bit of a downward spiral at the moment, but I don't know, I think the games Dons have got left, just even if you have clinched promotion, doesn't make you, it doesn't mean you just don't care and you're not bothered. Dons have got some very tough games in that running. And I just think, like you said, time's just running out a little bit now. And if Dons need to better Peterborough's results in 3 out of the last 5 games, which I can't see happen, especially with how much Dons are struggling to score goals as well. I just can't see that happening in more than 50% of the occasions that we need it to. Yeah,
I mean, have 5 home games in a row without scoring a goal. That's got to change this Saturday. Crawley coming to Stadium MK.
Well, even if they get a point out of one or two of those games, that closes it to 4 or 5 points, and it becomes a different matter.
Peterborough hosting Coventry on Saturday.
That's not.
If they lose that game, they have lost at home in recent weeks, so they're quite inconsistent themselves.
Bristol City comes to mind.
Yeah, it does. Buton's home win over Crawley. We're back to 3 points, and then this week it's looking very different. And
I always think whenever it's within 3 points, even if there's only 1 game left in the season, obviously you can't rule it out. So whenever there's a 3-point gap, I think you've got to say, I think we've got every chance, but. 6 points to me is a big gap, and you've got to get it back to 3 points before you can even entertain any notions of playoffs, even if you are 7th in the league. I think if Don's finished 7th in the league this season, it's a good achievement. It's been a totally different team that started the season that's going to end it. So very much been a period of change. It's been a tough league this season when you look at the teams in there, the teams that came up and the teams that came down, and. I think 7th represents not actually too bad a season, really, if they can finish there. So, but 7th's not even guaranteed, so let's not forget that. I mean, there's 4 teams within a couple of points of them after Sheffield United won in midweek, and if Port Vale beat Dons, then Port Vale go ahead of Dons. So, I think, to be honest, let's try and finish 7th. I think that'll be a good achievement now. Let's try and aim for that first. Keep hold of 7th and try and finish 7th. And then I think you've got to say, let's forget Peterborough now. Let's try and aim to finish 7th and be that that team outside the playoffs. I think that would represent a decent achievement for this season.
Yeah, if we look at the last fixtures, obviously Crawley on Saturday, they're down just above the relegation zone, but with games in hand.
They've got games in hand, but they need those points on the board. They're 3 points above the drop zone.
Several several postponements of their ground because of the state of the pitch.
Yeah, that's not a gimme with Crawley. I think you've got to say Crawley are fighting for their lives. And they might have games in hand, but they've got to win them. And you know, they need points on the board, so that's not going to be an easy game for Dons.
And then obviously Peterborough playing Coventry at home, and then on to Good Friday, Dons go to Port Vale, which is very tricky. And you know, if Port Vale win that game, then they're going above Dons in the table, potentially. But Posh also a very difficult looking trip on Good Friday. They go to Valley Parade.
Yeah.
To play Bradford.
I mean, you know,
that'd be a tough place. Tough place to go. Not an easy 3 points.
I mean, anyone from sort of 12 downwards is still. I think like 12th, they're only 6 points away from relegation. So. Unless I'm getting that wrong, but you know, I think Sheffield United have created a bit of a gap there, and I think Bradford are only 6 points off relegation as well, so they could probably do with another win before the end of the season just to tide them over. Plenty of fans there.
Yeah.
You know, it's not an easy. You know, it can be quite. I don't know if intimidating is the right word, but it's not an easy place to go to. Certainly, as Don's found there. You know, and Posh. You know, not guaranteed 3 points there by any stretch.
And then the final 3 games for Dons, it's almost ridiculous. It's 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Brentford at home on Easter Monday, then followed by a trip to Rotherham, their new stadium, and then finishing at home to Leyton Orient, who you know, they might still have hopes of automatic at that time.
I don't know if Leyton Orient will though now. They've been on a bit of a downward spiral, haven't they? And
so you know, them and Rotherham, them both might be resting up for the playoffs. You never know.
Yeah. I mean, the best thing now that could happen is Brentford get promoted as soon as possible. If we can go to that Brentford game with them already promoted, then their season's probably just going to fizzle out, you'd like to think. If we can go into the Rotherham game, they know they're going to be in the playoffs. Leyton Orient, they know they're going to be in the playoffs. That makes things easier. So the quicker Brentford can get promoted, I think the better for Dons.
Hopefully Wolves will pull away and win the title. That's not an issue for them either.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, obviously if they're going for the title, they're going to want to do that as well. So, you know, if Brentford can get that automatic, I think automatic promotion is obviously more important than winning the league. So, to me, you know, it's all about getting up there, really, isn't it? You know, you want to go up as champions if you can, but the be all and end all is to get promoted, I think. And you know, if Brentford can secure that second, that might make things a little bit easier. If they don't, then I think it's. But then again, by that same token, they're not just going to say, all right, they've got quality players and who are really in confidence because they're winning games. They're not just going to let up and say, oh, we don't care now. You know, they're going to want to keep winning those games at the end. So it's a really, really tough running, and I can't see Dons getting 9 points out of those last 3 games.
No.
I think, and I can't, 15 points out of the last 5. You know, that they'd maybe get a couple of wins to begin with, but I can't see 9 points out of those last 3 games. You know, playing quality sides. You'd be happy with a draw at Rotherham, under most circumstances. But they've got to go there and they've got to win.
Yeah, can't afford. There's no room. There's no margin for draws anymore, is there?
No, there's not. 5 wins it has to be, and I can't see them getting 5 wins from those 5 games. I hope I'm proven wrong.
You can compare it to Peterborough the last 3. They've got home to Carlisle, away to Shrewsbury. 2 teams right in the thick of a relegation battle. And then they're home to Port Vale on the final day. By that stage, Port Vale might be out of it. You know, Dons might be out of it as well.
Yeah. So,
it looks easier on paper, but you never know these teams fighting for their lives. So they find something from somewhere, don't they?
Carlisle and Shrewsbury are right in that mix as well. They really are in the relegation zone. So it's around this time of season that those sorts of teams get those wins. So but then Posh need a couple of wins as well. So you know, obviously on paper you'd take Carlisle and Shrewsbury over Brentford and Rotherham, I think, any day of the week. So even though those teams are fighting for their lives, so Peterborough have it a lot easier and they have the advantage. And I can't see them slipping up enough times to be able to create. And Dons have to win all those games as well. So I just think there's not enough time now. And
it just makes you look back on if only we'd picked up a point here or
of course
won this game, and the amount of times we were all over teams and haven't put them away, and we've got a 1 point instead of 3, or
you look at
no points.
Well, you look at the fact that Carlisle have done the double over Dons, Tranmere have done the double over Dons. No disrespect to those sides, but Dons should be beating those sides if they want to be reached. You've got to beat those sides to reach the playoffs. You got to. Dons have lost 17 games this season. It's a lot of games to lose to try and reach the playoffs as well. I think the fact that they've taken 6 points apiece off Dons, is not obviously isn't good. So,
but both of those sides would be bottom of the league if they hadn't done that. So
it's a good point. Just the inconsistencies, I guess, this season's cost them.
Yeah.
I mean, they get a brilliant win at Wolves, and you sort of think, oh, they can really kick on here. That one back in December, and then they sort of go and lose to teams like Crewe. The midweek form's been awful.
1 point against Colchester, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Was it?
Or was it? I can't remember now. I think they might have done the double as well over Dons. So, the midweek form has really cost them as well this season, I think. It's just been too inconsistent. They can't string. I'd love to get the stats together. They had that good month in December, but otherwise, it's been a win here, then a loss, then a draw, then a win, and a loss, and a win, and 2 wins, and then maybe a couple of defeats. And you think some momentum's going to be built, and then it's taken away. So it's been one of those seasons where no real momentum's gathered. Like I said, there was that month in December when beating an FA Cup team, beating Wolves, which was a great result, and then lost to Brentford, which is obviously fair enough in December. So there's not been enough good runs in there. They need, you need at least a 4 or 5 match winning run in the season, I think, to reach the playoffs.
Yeah.
Hopefully it will come now, obviously. But I just.
We know what Carl Robinson will say. Too many injuries in the squad. But then again, with such a small pool of players, that's the risky run, isn't it? I think if you operate with not too many players, every team has injuries, but
I guess but look at our midfield right now. It's just been decimated, hasn't it, by injuries? It's Gleeson looks like he could be out. Dele Alli might even be out now. Darren Potter's out for the season. Ben Reeves looks like he's out for the season. When it's your key players who are out, every team from Chelsea and Liverpool and that have a core of the side. You take Steven Gerrard out of Liverpool and they're going to struggle. Probably. So, and obviously if you take Suarez out there, they're going to struggle. So, every team has its key men. Yeah. And Don's just have a few too many of those key men out, I think, at the moment. So, got a bigger squad would be nice, I think. Because then you can rely on those players, but then of course when you have a big squad, you've got to keep them all happy, haven't you? Which can be difficult to do if you've not got the biggest budget in the world. So, it's a hard one to balance. But on the evidence of this season, you've got to say that more players are needed. I think all the times we've talked about injuries.
I think the checkbook has to come out a bit. I think
strikers absolutely.
The striker situation was never resolved, was it? I know Patrick Bamford left in January, but I remember speaking on this podcast sort of October, November time. We were saying, is he going to stay? It's going to be absolutely crucial for their season if they can extend the loan. Yeah. So they must have known that this was a possibility that he was going to leave. So why not then? Why were they not thinking of, putting their hands in the pocket and buying a striker?
I don't know.
That's been the goals haven't been replaced at all.
No, but not. That's been the key.
He could have gained them these 3 points.
Yeah.
For Gap is at the moment they might even be in the playoffs.
With a Bamford in there, they wouldn't have gone. Dons wouldn't have gone 5 games without a goal.
No chance. No.
So I think I'm guessing in November and December. I don't know. It's hindsight that though, isn't it? I think they were trying their best to keep Bamford, but I know what you mean. Maybe a plan B should have been drawn up to in case Bamford wasn't available. But I think at that time they were just trying their best. It was all about trying to keep him. Fans are chanting, "You want him to stay." The season was about keeping him, and I think to a large extent, I think the fact that he left as sort of disappointing. Where the goals come from since then. You're looking at. Ben Reeves has stepped up a little bit, but you need a striker banging him in and getting the tap-ins and stuff. And that's just not been happening this season. So James Loveridge hasn't scored yet. I don't think. Obviously brought in the lad from Everton. He didn't. He scored once, but that was a tap in. He should be scoring that as a striker, and that never really happened as well. I think they've just been trying to recreate the Bamford situation, and maybe now they've tried a couple of players. And if James Loveridge scores a hat-trick at the weekend, it's maybe different. You know, it's I think some serious money needs to be spent on a striker, absolutely desperately. You know, they need one really good striker and ideally a bit of backup.
Yeah, I think they need two strikers really.
Yeah. So just to keep get one in first, and then if there's another one available, that's the key. But they've got to get a striker in, because I think when you look at the team, the defence looks good to me. I think Hodgson and Baldock challenging for right back. I think that's good. You know, obviously Livingston's going to stay at left back. I think he's done pretty well this season. Looks like Tom Flanagan's going to be given another chance next season. But if Jordan Spence is also key to that equation as well, he needs to stay next season. And Nick Kay's been excellent this season, I think, as well. Maybe an extra centre back as some cover.
No.
David Martin very solid in net. If we can get that midfield together, that's going to look good with Dele Alli really, announcing himself on the scene this season. Dan Potter and Stephen Gleeson about. Ben Reeves has been superb as well. Dogs are always going to have wingers capable of doing damage, and if Dean Bowditch can get a good pre-season behind him, that's going to be good as well. So it's just a matter of now if they can get that final piece of the jigsaw, if they can get a striker. You sort of think that, and I mean, you look at the teams as well, coming up and coming down. I don't think there's anyone really. There's not a Wolves in there, So I think that next season could potentially see a less competitive League One, dare I say it, because it's never easy, obviously. But if you get something like that, get a guy who can bang him in to back of net, and then it's a different proposition next season.
Well, I see Carl's been speaking in the MK News this week, saying he will sort it out in the summer. So I have to have to watch this space on that.
Could see someone, of course, not necessarily English. He's been doing a lot of work in
of course,
hasn't he, in the continent. So that might be another experiment to maybe trial with next season. And I think it's almost like I'm feeling almost like let's look forward to next season at the moment. I just cannot see Dons crashing the playoffs, and I really desperately hope I'm wrong.
It's a ludicrous situation, isn't it? No goals in 5 straight home games, but on the travels 5 away wins.
About 12 goals, is it?
Carl's saying it just doesn't make sense that those two are running side by side. Carl's saying in the paper what we've sort of discussed before, that teams perhaps sitting off
at home. The pitch has helped as well.
The pitch not a great condition. That's making it rob for their own back, isn't it? Really.
I mean, your home games should be advantageous for Dons, and it's just not at the moment. So the pitch situation's weird. That's got to be resolved, and I'm sure it will be after the Women's FA Cup final.
Yeah.
But it's just you got to have your own pitch. Suited to how you play, and it's just not suited to how Dons play at the moment. So there's bobbles here, there, and everywhere, and I think the pitch is as vital as anything else really. Just the state of the pitch.
I should quickly mention a very, very good win at Coventry on Saturday. Dele Alli was fantastic.
Yeah.
Strike that's going to put him even further in the shop window, further to the front of the window, if you like. But hopefully, Coventry are beating them on Saturday. Fingers crossed they'll do the business for us against Peterborough on Saturday. And Don Seoff Crawley in the next week. We'll be speaking about
players playing back on.
Players dream back on, and no games in hand, crucially. That would be good. That's what we need.
We'll keep writing Dons off, and they keep proving us wrong about this. I'm more than happy to be proved wrong on that one, because, like I say, I still think. But I think Peterborough might slip up. They might not win all 5 games. That's a decision. I think Dons are going to win all those 5 games at the same time.
I mean, if the gap is down to 3 after the weekend, and Peterborough have to go to Bradford.
Yeah.
Psychologically, that's not going to be the best for them, is it?
No, that's right. I mean, anything can happen. Anything can happen. So we should probably try and be more positive. I think it's a matter of time running out, really. And of course, you can look at Peterborough. The way the season's gone, Peterborough have messed up. They've proven that. But Dons also have as well.
Yeah.
And that's the way the season's gone, and I think it's probably going to continue like that. It might come a situation where we're back within 3 points, but then Dons have battered a team and can't get the winning goal or something. So it'll probably be a continuation of what we're seeing.
Great stuff. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next week for the Easter special.
Enjoy
the weekend's games. See you again. Bye now. Bye.
Cheers.